Let's warm up. Using a pencil, paper, and any other art materials you have, like watercolors, pastels, or markers, design a creature. Invent an imaginary animal and draw its face. Think about what makes your animal magical. What are its magic powers? What are its magical parts? Maybe it has magical antennae. Maybe it has magical horns. Maybe it has magic in its eyes. You decide. Now that we're all warmed up, we're ready to build our masks. You'll need chipboard, tape, scissors, a stapler, and a mask form. Pick up your mask form. If it's hard cardboard, bend it and roll it up a bit to loosen it.
Teachers, make sure the chin is stapled together and also staple about 8 inches worth of elastic to the back of the mask.
Using chipboard and scrap paper, build up your mask. You can make ears, antennae, noses, spikes, whatever you can think of. We find that crumbled paper is a great material to build up protruding features like noses, eyebrows, cheeks, and mouths. You can also use the chipboard to change the shape of the eye holes, such as by making eyelids. Try really hard to change the shape of the mask form you are using so that it's almost unrecognizable as the original form you started with. It should look totally new, like something you've completely invented. Cutting tabs or flaps into chipboard and other paper products can be helpful when attaching them to your mask. You can also use things you find around your environment, like recycled objects, sticks, or leaves to build up your mask in interesting new ways. Make sure you use plenty of tape when attaching things. Now we're ready to use plaster.
Teachers, if you teach children in 2nd grade or below, this is a material you'll need to prepare in advance, cutting the roll of plaster gauze into smaller pieces. We find that, depending on the particular group, children as young as 3rd grade can prepare this material. Just be wary of the dust that can be created if the material is jostled or used too roughly. Using this material outdoors is a good option if the weather is appropriate. Face masks can also be worn while cutting plaster. Make sure to cover the table you're cutting on with plastic, paper, or a tablecloth. Cut the plaster gauze into pieces of different sizes, some small, some big. You'll need a nice, healthy pile of plaster for each kid.
Now that the plaster gauze is prepared, it's time to apply it to your mask. You'll need a bit of water. I like to use warm water so that it's nice on my fingertips. Dip the plaster into water and start covering up your mask. Cover the entire mask with plaster. If you have any chipboard pieces that are sticking off the mask, your ears, horns, spikes, and the like, you don't need to cover the parts that stick off, but do make sure to cover the joints, the parts where the chipboard meet the mask. Some students like to rub the plaster with their fingers after they cover the mask to make the holes disappear for a smoother look, and some students like the roughness of the holes. You decide what you like. When you're done plastering, you'll need to let the mask dry before you paint.
Teachers, when you're cleaning up the plaster water dishes, make sure that the plaster gunk that accumulates on the bottom of the container does not get poured into the sink. The water floating on top is fine to pour off down the drain, but the plaster itself should be scraped out and put in the trash can. Because it dries so strong and rigid, plaster can do a number on plumbing.
Now that your mask is dry, it's time to paint. Paint your entire mask with a first coat. Use wild colors and make sure to practice mixing your own colors. The more different colors you can mix, the more magical your mask will be. Once your mask has dried after the first coat of paint, go back in and add some details. You could paint dots, you could paint stripes, you could paint wiggly lines, circles, a grid. See how many ways you can think of painting. You can even paint scenes on your mask, like clouds, grass, flowers, even animals. Make sure you give every part of your mask some painting love. Let your second coat of paint dry, then go and find some embellishments. Every classroom will have something different, so see what interesting materials you can find. You could go outside to gather sticks or leaves. You could add felt or fabric bits. You could add recycled toys like animals. You can add buttons and gems, pieces of leather, sequins, anything you can find that's interesting. You will need some liquid glue to attach these embellishments. We recommend that you use a big glunk of glue to make sure that things stick on properly.
Teachers, we like to pour out the glue into small containers and have the kids use paintbrushes to apply glue. Small squeeze bottles can also work, but we find that at the rate that those bottles get clogged, things can go a bit smoother with the paintbrush method. The glue washes off just as easily as paint if cleaned up somewhat quickly. If you're a teacher who likes to use hot glue, a hot glue gun might be helpful to have on hand, especially for larger, heavier objects.
Now it's time to design a cape to wear with your mask. Decide what kind of cape your mask needs. Does it need scales? Does it need stripes? Maybe your creature has polka dots or spots. Maybe you want to draw things that your creature loves on the cape, like the kind of food it eats, or where it lives, or what it likes to do. You can design your cape however you want. To make my cape, I used a Sharpie first to draw the details, and then I filled in with color using tempera paint sticks. You can also use watercolor or diluted tempera paint. Once you've drawn up and colored in your cape, you can spruce it up by cutting an interesting line at the bottom of your cape and adding some felt embellishments. I cut a zigzag line and added little triangles to mine with a stapler. What will you do? Now you've finished your mask and your cape. Great job! The final step of this project is to put on your mask and cape and turn into your character. How does your creature walk? How does it talk? What does it look like when it's playing? Practice moving around as your creature, and when you're ready, have someone take a video of you performing.
Teachers, this could be done in partners, with one kid acting and one kid filming. It could also be done as a full group, with all the kids moving at once. You could even make a runway.
Whatever you do, make sure to choose an interesting location for filming. Think about what's behind you when you film, as the background of a film is very important. For example, if you film somewhere inside, like in your classroom with your classmates all working behind you, it will be too much commotion for the viewer, and we won't be able to focus on your amazing creature. Choose a filming location with interesting scenery. You could try to find somewhere with trees or mountains, an interesting building, a place that shows off the sky, somewhere with water in the background, or some other amazing location. We can't wait to see the interesting places you choose for your films.